Start Your Dungeons is now sponsored by Level Up Games, the largest and best board game, role playing, miniature games, collectible card game, hobby, and nerd store in Georgia. With a wide variety of events and product lines, Level Up Games is sure to have the product for every gamer you know. With 3 convenient locations in Duluth, Johns Creek, and Athens, there's bound to be a store near you. Plus, they ship anywhere in the U.S. from their online shop at levelupgamesatl.com. Thanks for sponsoring the channel, Level Up Games, and check out their event calendar and online store at the link in the description. Hello and welcome to Start Your Dungeons. I'm Bryce.
I'm Adam.
And today we're looking at a retro review, we're going to call it, because it is an older one that this version at least is no longer made, but we're going to do the Star Wars Edge of the Empire beginner box set, which I know is one of Adam's absolute favorites, and the system, the Genesys system itself, one of my personal favorites.
Right. I've run this particular adventure several times, and I will probably run it several more.
Yeah, it's a very solid one.
And now that it's being printed again...
Yeah, big win on that one. So talk about what all comes in the box. You'll notice there is no box.
There's no box. The reason why there's no box is because the original box that Fantasy Flight Games printed, very flimsy, and it tore pretty early on. Yeah. But, so let's start with read this first. You get a little book about the setting and a little bit about what's going on at this particular time in Star Wars.
When is this set again?
This is set right before A New Hope.
Okay.
So you're on Tatooine, but it's just before A New Hope. You know, you've got the Empire everywhere. So it would not take much if you wanted to run this as maybe like a Mandalorian game. You know, you could just, I mean, really, you've got some, some stormtroopers around. You could definitely run this as like a Mandalorian style thing if you wanted. You've got a crawl that you can read off, and there's actually people have put this on YouTube with the Star Wars music. So it's got a little bit about how to, it's got like a script on how to run it. You've got some, what do you do next after you complete it? So there's a free adventure that you can download. Cool. Yeah, and it's actually a really good one. The Long Arm of the Hutt. You've got maps. You have multiple maps. One of them is the big freighter. Yeah. We're not going to say it's the Millennium Falcon because it's not.
And they're not grid based, so you kind of can put your guys in there, but they are helpful because there is a lot of narrative play in this, and being able to kind of narratively know where your character is in a setting is important, I think, for this one.
And distance, the way distance works is you've got close, you've got kind of like mid-range, long-range, and then very far away. So it's more abstract. You don't really need grids. You've got these character folios, which have their stories on the back. You've got a starting version of the character. You've got an advanced version of the character. So you've got plenty of stuff in there that you could use to whenever you level up. So you've got 4 characters. I think that's all of them. Yeah. You've got a big pile of dice, which we'll talk about the dice in a minute. You've got lots of tokens. You've got character tokens. You have ship tokens. You've got a Hutt token, a Rancor token. You've got these light side and dark side tokens. You've got a rule book. You've got the adventure book. It's pretty packed.
For $30.
For $30.
Yeah.
So, pretty good purchase.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the quality of everything? I feel like I like the tokens. I think the tokens are nice. They're colorful, everything. I think the dice are some of my favorite dice in any game because they're color-coded, which I really like.
The dice being color-coded is one of the easiest ways to get into this beginner box
because unless you're colorblind.
Unless you're colorblind.
Unfortunately. But they are different shapes.
Yes, they're different shapes. So you've got D12s, D6s, D8s, and that's it.
Yeah.
And with the dice in the adventure, it tells you which one to be rolling for each individual skill check.
Yeah.
As far as the quality goes, I think everything's really good, especially with the rule book and the adventure book. These are
Pretty thick.
they're thick. They're thick books, really good paper. The quality of the artwork
is solid
it's
in this
really
game.
really high all throughout. I'll say about the artwork quality throughout this entire system, because there's an entire library of these books that are out there. The artwork is always top notch. They
Yeah.
got some of the best artists around.
They really did. I think that's one of the things that I really like about this game is it draws you in with how good. I mean, look at this. Just this bounty hunter. Like the artwork on it is just stunning. You
Yeah.
know, for all the different options they give you to kind of play as each one. Let's talk about how easy it is to get into the game from a player and a DM side. Why don't you go from the DM side? I'll go from a player side because I've been a player more than a DM for this.
So for the DM, it's going to take you a little bit to learn the dice system.
Right.
So many people, when they look at the dice, they look at the funny symbols on the dice. I don't know if you've ever seen the funny symbols. There's so many of the game masters, when they see the symbols on the dice, they say, I'm going to stick with what I know. That's a mistake.
I would argue, yeah.
That is a mistake. You really, it's not as hard as you're making it.
Yeah.
The one thing that can be hard is learning how to make a dice pool. So knowing how to upgrade dice or how to add, setbacks or boosts, that can be a little difficult, but when you play through the starter adventure, it tells you what to do. It tells you how to go through that process. As long as you have read the adventure book, all you got to do is just choose from the menu,
Yeah.
and it's super easy.
And if I remember correctly for this adventure, they do a very good job of going through and going, we're going to talk about skill checks. We're going to talk about combat. And they follow a path of teaching you how to play the
Yep.
game by just playing the adventure, not
Yep.
going, here's all the rules, now go through the adventure. It's
Right.
like, let's teach you the game. I think
learn it as you go.
which, again, a lot of ones do it now. I always tell people that's one of my favorite things about Press Start. Press
Yeah.
Start does a really good job with the Fabula Ultima on that, and this is another great example. From a player aspect, I think this game is actually very easy to get into because there is nothing that you need to understand other than what skills you kind of need to use and what your dice pool is. So every dice pool that you have for your character, it says on the sheet. So it'll say you get 2 yellows and a single green if you're making a tech check. That's what you put into the pool. And then the DM decides what negative dice are going to be thrown in there as the adversaries or the challenge or whatever for that rank. That really is the easiest part to me because as a player, you just tell you what I want to do. You tell me what, as a game master, what the check is going to be. I roll it, and then the game master interprets the dice too. And we'll talk a little bit more once we get into the overall system. But that's something I really like a lot about it. But speaking of overall system, let's talk about what we like. So why don't we'll each go back and forth on one thing because I feel like there's a bunch here we can talk about.
The because the dice are focused on narrative, you don't have to prepare very much.
Right.
I mean, when I run games of anything in the Genesys system, which is what this is, I may have a single sheet of paper that has all of my information on it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry so much about a storyline because the dice will make sure that story advances. Whenever you get like a threat is going to be something bad that happens. Well, we've got some ways that the dungeon master or game master can spend threat. So it tells you, how to push the story along. And it's also, this is one of those systems where you can ask your players, how do you think that the threat should go? If
Right.
you know Star Wars, what do you think is going to happen? And the same thing goes whenever you get a boost, whenever something really good happens. You can fail a check, but then you get an advantage, and then suddenly that advantage maybe, like you failed, but then something also good happened as a side effect of that.
I always have two really great examples for explaining this, and that's if you missed on your check but you succeeded to get an advantage. Let's say you're at a shootout in a cantina. You shoot some glass bottles behind the bar. The enemy is not damaged, but he's out of cover now, so your other allies shoot him. Where if you hit but you have disadvantage now or a fallback, you got out and you shot that dude, but now you're out of cover, so you're easier to hit.
Yeah.
That's a very easy way, I think, to kind of describe how the game kind of lets you. And that's what I love so narrative about this, because it really lets you do these things. Because this is what happens in games, you know? It's not just I hit or I miss. It's I hit, but there's complications which add to the story.
This system feels so Star Wars-y.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of the other Star Wars, I mean, if you've ever played the West End game Star Wars or the D20 or the Saga Edition Star Wars, I like them. I really, really like them. They don't feel nearly as Star Wars-y as this does.
Right. And to talk about like that balance thing, I love the force economy in this game. So we'll say this now. There's multiple versions of this game. This one does not have force-sensitive people in it.
Unless, like, they're in the core rulebook, you can add force-sensitive people, but they are not supposed to be a big part of this game.
Yeah. They're not. This is more of like your scum and villainy sort of style. But the way you have the light and the dark side is you roll that up at the beginning of the game, and it's a pool that changes. So when I want to upgrade my die, I can spend a bit of the light side, but then that flips to a dark side token for the game master, and the dark side can be used by the game master to add worse dice to your pool. But there's only ever, so if you roll up 5 at the beginning of the game, that's all there is for the game, but they're constantly ebbing and flowing like the actual force. And I think that's a really cool system that allows both the players and the game master to take control of a story at pivotal moments.
And that's unique to the Star Wars version of Genesys. It's not found in the others.
Is there anything else that you like about this? I feel like I could talk a lot about. I like the fact that it's not. I mean, I'll just say it now. I love the fact there's no Jedis in this. Like, to me, I love playing the scum ability. Every time we play this, I just tell him, roll me a Han Solo and we'll call it a day. Like,
or
yeah,
you just take
Pash.
The
smuggler.
Because Pash is
and literally every time. I'll
Lorik. Yeah. Basically Chewie.
I'll actually say one of my favorite parts about this game is I have played this game without combat.
Yeah.
We have done adventures with you, and where I've been able to go in and roll high on my skullduggery check and have a glass jaw, sharp as glass jaw and a smile that could light up a room, and all of a sudden I've, smuggled in somewhere and got their stuff and taken everything. We didn't have a single fight. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool thing about this game, because again, it's very narrative. You can be combat heavy if you want, but really it pushes you to play in narrative ways besides just pull out a gun and shoot somebody.
Yeah. The thing that, besides the dice themselves, the thing I like about this set is that the character folios, they have everything for you. Like for each of the abilities, I don't know if you can see over there with the greens here. Yeah. So for each one of these abilities, it tells you exactly which dice to roll.
Which is so nice.
So all you've got to do is just roll it, and it also tells you which, like on the side of your character folio, what success look like, triumph, advantage, failure, despair, threat. It tells you what kind of dice you
need, what they look like.
So there's no confusion.
Yeah.
And I think that when people are so afraid of the dice system, they're not seeing that you've got these.
Yeah.
And they're so easy. And also, because there's the Long Arm of the Hutt free adventure that's out there, I don't know if it's still on Fantasy Flight's website, but it's still out there.
Yeah. It might be on Edge Studios, because they're the one who kind of brought this back and started republishing it again over the last couple of months.
Which, Edge Studio was created whenever Asmodee bought Fantasy Flight and split it up. But The other thing is if you don't like these characters, there's other characters.
Oh, there's tons of them.
Yeah, there's free characters that they are official characters, so you can download the character folio and then you're good to go.
What's nice too is like not saying recommend this necessarily, but all of the characters can play with all the other versions. So if you owned the Age of Rebellion or is it the Force
and Destiny?
Yeah, Force and Destiny box set. You could take those characters and like roll them out and then throw them on a table and say, "Hey, pick what you want to play for each adventure." So I think that's cool. Is there anything you don't like about this system?
No.
I'm struggling to think of anything. I think I'll say character creation might be a little bit difficult for some people, but other than that, there's not a whole lot to this system that I think is difficult.
If you're trying to create a fresh character in the core rulebook, that can take a little bit.
Yeah.
But because this box doesn't do character creation, I'm giving it a pass.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I think of. Like, I don't remember. I built a character, but I don't remember it being difficult necessarily. Just so much tedious.
It takes a little getting used to because the way that you purchase ranks and different skills, it's a little weird.
Similar almost to maybe Call of Cthulhu-esque kind of style. Or I just made a Dragonbane character again because I'm doing a Dragonbane thing with somebody. And this actually feels to me very like Dragonbane in some ways took a lot of what was in here in D20 system. That I haven't played the old edition of Dragonbane, so I could be talking and they've done it for 70-something years or whatever. But like it feels that kind of style where it's like it's all about your skills. It's not about I'm rolling a strength check. I'm rolling that sort of style. I'll talk about something I like. I like that you have two ways to get knocked out. Yeah. So you have health and you have like a stamina pool. So there are ways where I played a character, I was a Mon Calamari doctor, and I had a stun gun. And it was like, I could basically go in and I could put strain on you instead of wounds so I could knock you out quicker. And I think that's a really cool system.
You've got your strain and your wounds. So you can be overexerted.
Yeah.
But not damaged.
Right.
And if you're taking a bunch of threat damage, it could just be that the game master says, "Yeah, you're just so stressed out and so overwhelmed, you pass out."
Right.
You didn't take a hit, but you just passed out.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Simple, understand. I like also too. I'm comparing it to Dragonbane because I've just been playing a little bit of that, but it has like the soak value as well. So it's like you do soak some things from your armor and stuff and what you're wearing, and we gotta move on. I think we can easily answer this, but is the box a complete game on its own?
So it has a rule book, and I feel like you could keep going with this if you're playing a limited kind of adventure game and you have your stormtroopers and you've got if you've got a small number of adversaries that you're going up against, I feel like you could keep playing it without having to upgrade with only this and the Long Arm of the Hutt adventure that's online. You could get lots and lots and lots of playtime with that. Now, I will say that you're probably going to want to upgrade at some point because maybe your players will say, "Well, I'm getting a little tired of of only having these skills." But I think you could.
I think you could go pretty far with this. I think again, the simplicity of the enemies in this is like stormtroopers and like a Hutt and a Rancor
Gamorrean Guard.
and like Gamorrean Guard, like all things that you could do as like Long Arm of the Law sort of kind of style fighting.
You got some droid bad guys.
Like there's some simplicity to it to where you could really do some fun adventures with it. If you wanted to keep playing, there's the core rulebook. So definitely that I think is a great purchase. I mean, there's so much for this game. There's tons of adventure product. There's tons of like expansions for players and stuff. I'll shout it out here. If you want a really great adventure, go pick up the Jewel of Yavin. That is, without a doubt, at least in my opinion, the best heist book that's ever been made for a role-playing game.
It's
so good. There's literally like 15 different ways you can literally steal this jewel. And every single way is different, involves different meeting people. You can play it indefinitely. Like, it's a great, great system. There's also, we'll talk about it here, this is not the only version of this.
Right.
So, Edge of the Empire was the first one that came out. Then Age of Rebellion, which is set more towards, like...
it's Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. And then Force and Destiny is kind of set...
Well, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
So, the general idea is that you have a bunch of Force sensitives who are trying to find some holocrons. So you could play it like a prequel trilogy game.
Yeah.
But it's more like, this is kind of like around the, just after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So you could play it two ways.
You could do like that new video game, Star Wars like Jedi Survivor and all that kind of that same timeline sort of thing what we're looking at here. But I do think that depending on what you want game wise is important. Edge of the Empire is more scum and villainy sort of things, underworld. Age of Rebellion is more military, sort of like soldier-esque, and then Force and Destiny is definitely more heavy on like Force-sensitive people.
You're Jedi.
But I think they're all great, and they all work together, which is what's super cool in my opinion.
Yeah, you could put a Jedi in this setting, in this Edge of the Empire setting, but they're probably going to be constantly hunted down.
Right.
You got to make sure that... and this is something that's covered in the core rule book. There's this mechanic called obligation.
Yeah.
And with obligation, you're constantly either being hunted down by the Hutts or the Empire or Black Sun, or there's all these different organizations that may be after you. Well, it might be that if you're walking around with a lightsaber and you're not very careful about that, the Empire is going to take notice, and Darth Vader is going to come and get you.
I think it's really great that you have such variety that you can play with this. Me personally, I think this is actually my favorite out of all three.
Yeah.
I'm just not huge. I like this stuff over the I'm a Jedi sort of like thing. So for me, this one kind of fits really well.
And there is a fourth one.
Which one's the fourth one?
The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens ones. I forgot about that.
There's a Force Awakens one.
We don't talk about
Never played it.
We don't talk about it.
I mean, I like the Force Awakens, but I've never played it. I've never really had the desire to play it because this one, like I really like the first three, and
I think the great. Force and Destiny one, that adventure is also very good.
Yeah, I mean it has a really good bad guy.
Yeah.
And fighting the bad guy is a lot of fun.
So as we said, there's tons of product for this. I mean, again, this is now all being reprinted by Edge Studios. So like literally over the last month, I mean, we're recording now in, oh my God, it's April of 2024. Yeah. It just feels like time's flying by.
Yeah.
But this stuff has literally in the last few months only become available again. So, if you're looking for this, it's probably easy to get now, thankfully.
Yep. We've got it at our local shop.
At Level Up Games. Gotta shout them out. So who is this book for? Is this for new players who've never played a role-playing game? Is this for seasoned role players? Who do you think? Because I have opinions, I think, on it.
I think this is an excellent system for new players.
I 100% agree with you.
I think if you've never played a role-playing game before and you don't have the D20 mentality, buy this and play this first.
Especially if you want to love Star Wars.
Yeah, if you like Star Wars, this is the set for you. Just grab it. Yeah. Trust me. And even if you're just not completely sold on the Genesys system with the dice, there is still material in here to use.
Right.
I mean, you could still use the tokens, you could still use the maps, you can use the adventure. There's still product in this set that is worth your time.
I would agree with that. I think really for new players, I've actually run this for people who've never played role-playing games, and they've been like, oh, this is really cool. I don't know how they were like, I don't know how I would DM it, because personally I feel like that might be a struggle for me, but I was like, no, I think you can easily eventually pick it up and play it. Like, it's not something I think it takes a little bit at first, but, you can have some fun with it. And I think really the dice pool system is the hardest thing, and really
Yeah.
that's not that. In my opinion, it's not that hard.
But that adventure book, it holds your hand through the
Yeah.
entire thing.
It does a really good job. It's
Yeah.
one of the better ones I think honestly I've ever seen for a game.
Yeah.
What do you think about for season role players? Like I've had a few season role players play this and really enjoy it as well, but I do think again the dice pool system is the scary thing to them.
I think if you are used to a D20 based system, you're going to look at this and it's going to be hard to approach.
Right.
I had to reprogram my brain a little bit to go into this game. I was really interested. I used to play the D20 Star Wars system for a long time. I played that, the entire time I was in college, along with playing Vampire and other things. And my expectation was based on a D20 based system. And then I bought this and I thought, okay, maybe I'll convert it to the D20 system. Once I read the rule book and I read the adventure, I changed my mind, and I haven't played the D20 or Saga edition because they are a little bit different. I have not played those editions of Star Wars since.
Yeah, I feel like this one is just really good. I think again, you might struggle with the dice pool, but I think if you're a role playing person who likes narrative role playing, it may be something more like Power of the Apocalypse sort of games and that sort of style. You'll like this because of its simplicity. I think a good shout out that we normally don't play. I've only played it twice, but I think this system reminds me a lot of Fate in some ways.
Yeah, because Fate pushes that story,
right?
And we should play Fate. I've got the
book. Atomic Robo one. We could. That might be a Level Up Games run thing. I might do something there for that.
Let's do that.
All right, so we have played this, but would you? Would you play this game again as a player or a DM?
I will play this anytime, any day of the week.
You can call him right now. He'll come to your house and
I will
kick down that door. And
I will run this for you and your kids. I'll run it with your grandma. I don't care.
I will say that too. This is a really good game for kids.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bunch of math. It is very simple to kind of get them into and everything.
And once you roll that yellow die and you get that lightsaber symbol, that's when everyone's like, it's huge.
Personally for me, I DM this game a few times. I do like DMing it, but I love playing in it.
Yeah.
We've always talked about just having drop in, drop out of this game because it really is. Another great thing about it is it's not like D&D where it's like I'm level 5, I'm level 4. It's just your skills get better. So like there's not really a level system in this.
You could have a character that has been adding more and more and more skills, and then someone who is a complete beginner and grab one of these characters and they can still contribute.
Yeah.
And it's not completely unbalanced.
And that's such a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, how they did that, I don't know, but it does work, I promise.
And then our final question that we've added now to all of ours. Are you happy you bought this?
This is one of my favorite purchases.
I need a copy.
Yeah,
I really do at the house.
I cannot say enough good things about this box.
No.
I just wish that the actual box had been more sturdy.
Yeah.
I had to go to our local craft store and buy a sturdy craft box to put it in. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed this review. If you are looking to pick up this product, I do know that Level Up Games has it in stock. You can go down in the link below to their online store and pick up your own personal copy if you are interested. If you have played this game, let us know what your opinions are. Which of the 3 different versions is your favorite? And also if you have a favorite character build you've ever done.
And if you are in Georgia, in the area, if you want to come to Athens and go to Level Up and play this, I'm going to offer.
Yeah, let us know because we will help run stuff up there.
I'll play it. I'll run it at Level Up if you're around.
So let us know down in the comments. And as always, thank you again for all your support. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye.